getting only one first-round draft pick for CJ McCollum and Larry Nance, and I guess Tony Snell too. That just doesn't seem like enough to me.
The Mismatch, presented by FanDuel Sportsbook.
The Blazers are going to receive Josh Hart, Tomas Satoransky, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Didi Louzada, unfamiliar with his work, a 2022 protected first-round pick, 2 second-round picks. The Pelicans are going to receive C.J. McCollum, Larry Nance, and Tony Snell. All right, Kevin, this is a big one. First reactions.
The big L for Portland. That's my first reaction. Getting a protected 2022 first-round pick, they'll only receive it, according to Woj, if it lands between picks 5 and 14. And if it doesn't convey in 2022, it'll kick to the future. Getting only one first-round draft pick for CJ McCollum and Larry Nance, and I guess Tony Snell too, that just doesn't seem like enough to me for the Blazers, considering the caliber of player McCollum is. I mean, like, knock his defense all you want, but that dude is a bucket. Larry Nance Jr. is a highly versatile defender who can do a lot for you in the half court on offense with his playmaking and shooting ability. He just keeps the ball moving. I just feel like, from the Portland perspective here, they didn't get as much value as they should have. And for New Orleans, that's a big-time dub. Getting to pair the talented players with Zion, if he can come back, with Vernon Ingram, with Valanciunas, and the other good things they have going on that team right now. Now in a playing spot after their horrible spot, despite not having Zion at all. So they got some big boys in the room, some veterans, and I think this is a team that's ready to start trying to really win.
Okay, so here's what I'll say. And this is why this is a mismatch. I don't hate it for Portland. I'm a big Josh Hart fan. I mean, you can go back on other podcasts. I like him a lot, and I think he's on a great contract. I was a huge Nickeil Alexander-Walker fan coming out of the draft. I have absolutely no reason to give up on him as a prospect. I mean, it's way too early. And he showed glimpses of much better play in his first year than this year. But I do think that he could be a real player in this league still. And then you got some other assets. Now, the problem with this is, you know, you could go back in time, and this is the trouble when you change management, because you're probably not making the same moves with the management that you did have, simply because of what you had given up to get Covington and Nance. I mean, they had given up 3 first-round picks to get those 2 guys.
A lot, right? They gave up a bunch. Two firsts for Covington.
Right. So
Two.
the new guy making the moves is not going to have that stuck in his mind the same way as the guy that gave up the tremendous value in order to get those guys. On the other side, I mean, the Pelicans are going all in to make the play-in. That's the odd thing about this, Kev. I love McCollum. Absolutely love him. I do think, like, so many times we talk about players in the NBA that are underrated. That guy's underrated. That guy's underrated. McCollum has been tragically underrated for the majority of his career. This guy went to Denver, a place where they were 34-7 throughout their season, had to play a Game 7 on the road. His team's down 17, and he drops like 37, 9, and 0 turnovers in a Game 7. Do or die. I mean, it's one of the great Game 7 performances we have seen. So, obviously, you know how I think. Give me that guy. I love McCollum. On the other hand, I don't know how it fits with Zion and Ingram. A backcourt of Devontae Graham and C.J. McCollum is a defensive night. You thought Lillard and McCollum was tough defensively? I mean, Devontae Graham and C.J. McCollum in a backcourt? I mean, and right now they're 21-32. They're 5.5 back, or 4.5 back from the Lakers, and that's just from 9. They're 4.5 back. They're only a half game up on Portland, a game and a half up on the Spurs, 2 games up on Sacramento. So I just don't know if going and getting CJ McCollum and giving up what they gave up to win right now in a desperate attempt to just make a play-in. There's no question if it comes together and they get to the play-in and Zion comes back, they're going to be very dangerous. But, I mean, best case scenario, they're probably going to have to win 2 games to even get into the playoffs. So then what? I mean, this is a deal for the future? Is this a deal because you want Zion Williamson to feel like you are building, a title contender around him? I mean, I know we focus on the trade at hand and this is what they gave up and this is what they received, but we also have to take into context, I do think this better served Portland going forward and how they are trying to build years out and around Lillard, whereas this is a win now move for the Pelicans, feels a little panicky, and they're 21-32 right now.
Yeah, but how's it panicky though when they gave up only 1 first-round pick and 2 second-round picks? I mean, like, Josh Hart is a nice role player, but let's not, be doing cartwheels.
But that's what you need. That's what you need.
Yeah, but he shoots 35% for his career from 3. He's a 32% this year. It's not like he's some knockdown 3-point shooter, and it's not like he's this lockdown defender. He's not. He's a good defender. He's good. He hustles. He makes winning plays. Like, Josh Hart is a good player, but they didn't give up like a ton here to get, CJ McCollum, who, to your point, everything you just said about him was what he can do in postseason settings. You're adding that guy. I mean, on paper, I'm not saying the Pelicans are going to be like some threat. I'm not saying this. Let me just preface what I'm about to say this. But, like, you look at their potential starting lineup once Zion gets back, if he gets back. Jonas Valanciunas, who Chris, you saw him in Memphis. He's been excellent for New Orleans. Excellent. Zion, you add him. Herb Jones. I don't care, he's a rookie. One of the best defenders in all of basketball right now and blossoming on offense. I don't know what Fred Vincent does down there in New Orleans as a shooting coach, but you get Ingram, you got Lonzo Ball. Now Herb Jones suddenly becomes an 89% free throw shooter after shooting like 65% in college. He's a reliable 3-point shooter. You add an Ingram with McCollum. This is a lineup here that balances with Herb Jones the defensive ability, Valanciunas the size inside. Ingram can lock in when he needs to. Zion and CJ and Ingram together can kind of run that offense by committee. They don't have a traditional point guard here unless they bring Devontae Graham, either have him in the starting 5 or have him come off the bench. I like the mix here. If Zion is the same top 10 to 15 guy that we saw last season.
What's the pecking order?
Zion's your number 1.
Okay.
Because he's Zion. But, like, it could vary.
McCollum's your 2?
No, I could might vary night to night. Who has the better matchup? Is it CJ in the backcourt or is it Ingram at the wing?
And then Valanciunas becomes a 4th option.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that personally.
I'm saying that's a lot to ask for changing within a season. You know what I mean? Bringing back your number 1 option, having a guy who has been getting all the shots or getting a lot of shots one night.
Like I said,
you got your
theoretically, man. Like, on paper, I like the mix. Does it work in real life? I don't know, but on paper today, minutes after the trade became official, I like the mix on paper for New Orleans. And at some point, I know everybody thinks just because Zion has gotten hurt and missed all these games that he's 100% going to sign that rookie extension. No, it is not 100%. And even if it was 100%, the Pelicans still should be taking advantage of the time that they have while he's on his rookie contract, on a cheaper deal, and try to win as much as they can with this group. I mean, like, I feel that way about Zion, that he is one of those players you got to try to win with. You don't play slow with Zion. You try to win with him. And then you factor in Ingram playing better basketball than he ever has. Like, these guys together could win a lot of games. So I like New Orleans being aggressive here. And they only gave up 1 first-round pick. 1. Only 1. That's a dub for me. if I'm a Pelicans fan, like this is a huge win. And then you get Larry Nance, another good role player. I didn't even mention him with their potential rotation. They can play big, they can play small. Versatility is the name of the game, and the Pelicans got it.
Larry Nance is also a duplicate of what you just got, in Herb Jones. There's a lot of
hey, man, give me 15 of those guys on my team.
Yeah, my problem is the lineup and the fact that we know that there have to be guys that play roles, and those are all guys that have been the options or, in many cases, carried the load.
Yeah, but like I don't know, like what question? All it's about is the sacrifice between Ingram, CJ, and Zion. I mean,
well, they don't know anything about sacrifice. They don't know shit about winning. They didn't win anything.
Well, now it's time to learn. This is the stage to learn here, man.
Usually it's a lot easier when you pair together the veteran guys that have been through this, right? Like we're seeing with Levine, Vooch, and DeRozan. You mature and you grow into that.
Well, that's what this is about. Like, what do you want the Pelicans to do? Not give up one first round pick to get CJ McCollum and Larry Nance? Because
hold on now,
them not winning.
They also gave up the 17th pick of the draft, a year and a half ago, and they also gave up their best role player. All right, so let's not act like they just gave up a first round pick. They gave up two of their rotation guys.
He's not the best role player. Herb Jones is better than Josh Hart.
Well, fine. Look, Josh Hart.
So is Valanciunas for that matter.
He's not a role player.
With all due respect to Josh Hart, he's okay. 35% from three in his career, like I said. He's okay.
Okay. Look, we're going to just disagree on Josh Hart because as soon as I started bringing up Larry Nance stats, you would have every excuse in the world. So there's always guys that you like. There's guys that I like. And I'm not going to spend my time defending Josh Hart the same way that I would expect you to defend Larry Nance.
Listen, want to hear my reasoning? It's because they're full at wing. They have CJ McCollum now getting minutes. They have Ingram getting minutes. They have Herb Jones. Like, they have a number of guys who are going to play that spot. But whereas with Larry Nance, I like to fit more for that.
They don't have one perimeter defender.
Yeah, they didn't when they had Josh Hart. Like,
Josh Hart is the best defensive perimeter defender on that team. It's not
Herb Jones is the best.
Come on, on their team. You can't say Herb Jones is. How about Herb Jones is the best point guard on that team too? I mean, good grief.
Herb Jones is not the best point guard on that team, but he is the best perimeter defender and he is the best role player on that team. Herb Jones is ridiculous. What he's doing as a rookie is crazy. Herb Jones is clearly the best. But like for this team, they have guys that can do those things. They don't have a guy that can do what Larry Nance does. And not only that, I would add, if Zion is going to be in and out of the lineup doing different things, now they have multiple guys that you can slide into that and have them do some type of, bring the ball up sometimes like Nance can do. Have them do some stuff in the half court. Have them being in a similar position or roll defensively. Nance can do that. Jones can do that. So the versatility of this roster has just been bolstered to another level now. So while you do lose a good role player in Josh Hart, I think overall the depth of this team becomes greater and the versatility of this Pelicans team becomes much greater.
This feels
perspective here.
Okay, that's fine. It just feels counterintuitive to everything we've talked about for 5 years. Typically, you would say the best thing for a team that is 21 to 32 is not to make a win now move, but rather to take a step back. And on the Portland side, you have advised blowing it up for a long time. And then they finally do, but you don't like it. You know what I'm saying? They are taking a step back because they're right now in a good position to get to the play-in. And they just decided it is better for our future to not make a rush to get into the play-in. Meanwhile, on the Pelicans side, this is your consummate win now move for a team that is 11 games below 500 and is probably at best having to win 2 games just to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I think with Portland here, I've long said that blowing it up is not as easy as just click and detonate. It's clicking a button, because of the lack of interest in CJ McCollum. I think for this Portland team, the time to maybe blow it up or make a big change was 2 years ago, not today. CJ McCollum's value has dipped a little bit in the last couple of years. So I think for them, that's the mistake. The mistake happened 2 years ago and not changing things up then. And even that's complicated because Dame wanted to keep CJ. They had opportunities to trade CJ, and they said no. Dame wanted to stick with what they had.